Welcome on into another edition of the Scots Sports Show. I am your host, Tyler Trumbauer. As we continue into the fall sports season, the football season moves along, and we continue to talk Boro football to start off today's episode. Now I'm joined by the usual cast of characters to talk Boro football here on the Scots Sports Show. To my immediate right, we have Boro football play-by-play voice Mike Fenner. On the far side of the stage, we have head Edinburgh football coach Scott Browning. Coach, tough game at IUP last week. Going at IUP, their homecoming. You know, you felt very confident about going into IUP and playing the Crimson Hawks at their own stadium. Unfortunately, Chris Temple emerges 6 rushing touchdowns, a school record, tying a conference record, and they just got their running game going early and often. And I mean, you knew coming in that was what they wanted to do. But what did you see right out of the gate? They got it going right away.
I just think that they were on a mission, and physically up front, they came after us. I think they probably reminded their players. 2 years ago, we went down there on homecoming and upset IUP, and we took a lot of players down there they were not with us at that time, and I don't know that they understood maybe the preparation, maybe the things that we had to do to be successful that day. And be quite honest with you, we started the game off. I'm not convinced we were ready to play. Defensively, they went right down the field on us, scored. Offensively, we go out the first snap and fumble the football. So right now it's 14-0. And then before you know it, it's 21-0 in the first quarter. And I really thought that we would compete better than we competed based on the prior week. But I think we walked into a real buzzsaw. I really believe that. And IUP is a football team that, last year they were in a similar situation as us. They played a lot of young players. A lot of those players are back now. And I think they're really getting it put together down there.
Right, that running game is just what they want to do all day long, run the ball. Luigi Listabrinza coming off a career-high week the week before this past Saturday. We just found out as soon as we got there that he was going to be out that day. Did you know about his status, and did that affect anything once you got word of that?
We had no idea. And to be quite honest with you, they've got a stable of running backs. We didn't think that would change our game plan one bit. So no, they had a couple other players that were even playing that we did not think was going to be back in the lineup due to injury. But no, it's just one of those situations. I think IUP is who they are. They're going to run the football. They've got a stable of backs. If one goes down, they'll put the next one in. They'll just continue.
Coach, what did you see out of the physicality and the physical nature between both offensively and defensively up front for that team?
You could just tell that they're established up front on both sides of the football. And, I just feel like they took it to us. I felt that going in we were prepared. I can tell you this from an offensive standpoint, and I think defensively, talking with the defensive coaches, they didn't give us anything that we did not prepare for. And I just think that maybe we need to do a better job getting mentally prepared to play, and we need to get off the bus. We need to become a quick start football team, and obviously against IUP we were not.
Defensively, Coach, you talk about the defensive unit there. Mitch Thomas gets some points on the board for the defensive unit with the 88-yard pick 6. He's this week's male Scot of the week for his performance on Saturday. That's back-to-back weeks now where the defense is putting points up on the board, their first points on the board. Mm-hmm. I mean, how important is that to have them help the offense out by, not only getting stops, but getting points up on the scoreboard too?
It's important. I think it gives our whole football team a shot in the arm. And I'd go back and tell you this, that right before the half, we missed a great opportunity. Had we scored and going in halftime at 28-7, and then you come back out and Mitchell takes the ball back for a touchdown, now it's 28-14, that changes everything. But it was a team defeat. Offensively, we struggled. We fumbled the ball. We had a 3-play and out. We throw an interception. We put our defense in bad position. Our defense didn't do anything to help themselves or the offense. And, oftentimes you win as a team. Well, we lost truly as a team Saturday against IUP.
Now moving into this Saturday from IUP's homecoming to your own homecoming right here this Saturday, October 10th, welcoming Clarion to Sox Harrison Stadium for a 2 p.m. kickoff. The Golden Eagles, the surprise team of the PSAC, picked last in the preseason poll. Now they're 5-0, their best season start since 1983. How are they getting this done, Coach?
Well, I think early on they won some football games and they developed a lot of confidence. And I think you're seeing a football team now that plays extremely hard. They play with an awful lot of passion. If you watch their sidelines, when you look at the tapes, you'll see guys just hooting and hollering. They can run a football for 3 yards, and you'd think that they scored the touchdown to win the championship game. So I think they've got a lot of excitement down there right now, and they do have a lot of returning players, but they're just having fun playing football, and they're playing well.
When you look at the offense and you look at personnel, it starts with quarterback Connor Simmons. 17 touchdown passes, nearly 1,700 yards, but only 2 interceptions. How important is it for your defense to try and disrupt him, try and get after him, and maybe turn the ball over to make that be a huge factor in this game?
I think it's extremely important. And like you said, he is playing extremely well. His receivers are playing well. I think they have some really good schemes offensively. The biggest thing, I'll go back and say it again, Connor and the whole offensive side of the football is playing with great confidence. They believe in each other. They believe in what they're doing. And they just make plays.
Yeah, and one thing to combat that is your defensive unit is one of the top 10 in the PSAC going against the passing attack, so that will be a great matchup to watch on Saturday, Coach. Offensively for yourself, you guys, is there anything you're trying to do to try to get it going early often? Because this past Saturday, that first good drive happened right there at the end of the first half. I mean, you guys, very little points being put up in the first quarter. What are you trying to do to get more production right away?
Here again, we talk about it all the time. We talk about it as a staff. We talk about players. Do we need to cut the package down a little bit? We're awfully young in some areas, and Jake's only played 6 football games at the collegiate level, and the question is, are we trying to do too much sometimes? But I think here again, offensively, just like defensively, I think it's important that come Saturday, we try to get off to a great start and a quick start, and we have success early.
Although your football team is brand new from last year, Clarion's football team is brand new. It's a new addition on both sides. Do you ever talk to your players and remind your players about maybe the 5-game winning streak or the success you had against that team at Memorial Stadium last year?
The guys that were here, they understand it and they know it, and so I don't think you have to talk with those guys in particular. But now for the new guys, our freshmen, in their minds, the hottest team in the PSAC's Clarion, and they don't know any different. They don't know any different. We're facing a 5-0 football team, and they see the same things on films. They see a team that plays extremely hard, extremely confident, and a team that's going to make plays. And we've got to try to find a way to slow them down offensively.
One thing that might get lost in it all is it is homecoming, and it's a home contest, but it's a 2 p.m. kick. How does that alter the schedule? How do you keep the guys focused despite all the homecoming hoopla that's going on around it? Normally it's a noon kickoff at Scots. Now it's 2. How does that change?
The big thing we've talked about all week is, hey, you've got two goals this week. Number 1, stay on your academics and get to class and do what you're supposed to do there. And number 2, focus on Clarion. Really, the homecoming stuff's more for the students, more for the alumni. Our guys need to concentrate on playing football this week, this year. And when they retire or graduate, whatever, they can come back and they can enjoy the homecoming festivities like everyone else. But right now, our homecoming is the football game. That's our focus.
And that game's 2 o'clock with the kickoff from Sox Harrison Stadium. You can hear Mike and I have our call on 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio, EdinburghNow.com, or the TuneIn app. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time, and good luck on Saturday.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And the Scots Sports Show will roll along right after this commercial break as we'll continue Boro football talk with Josh Kibbie. Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. Boro football talk continues in our next segment. Mike Fenner still around. Now we're joined by Josh Kibbie of the Edinburgh Fighting Scots football squad. Josh, appreciate the time today. Starting off with the team overall this season, obviously not the ideal start that you guys were hoping for coming into this season. From your perspective, what has this season been like, regardless of records and what the scoreboard says?
It's been fun. I mean, the guys that are on the team, it's good. I mean, we have a good team. It's just, we just got to get something put together. But other than the losing record and everything, I mean, we've been close. But for the most part, it's been fun. I mean, these are friends that you're going to have the rest of your life. So a lot of those guys that you get close with, and you'll have them for the rest of your life.
Yeah, some players have come on into the show and said it's the one of the closest teams that they've had in a few years here in Edinburgh. So we've heard that from others as well. What do you think has made it such a close squad this year? Has it just been the preparation? Has it the leadership? What has made it, you think, such a nice cohesive unit?
I think that, well, even when I was a freshman here, there was a lot more seniors, I feel like. And now this year we have 6 seniors. So, I mean, people have to step up and be leaders as freshmen. So I feel like that's, like, makes you respect more people that way. Like, when you're a senior and you have a lot of them, you're not going to really, you know, when there's a true freshman in, you're not going to think about, oh, he's going to step up and do this. But now that you have to have them guys step up, then you believe in them, and then you trust them, and then I think that's what you mean. You trust each other more, I feel like, this year, it seems like.
And Josh, you talk about off the field, but also on the field. What's the chemistry like? What's the communication like as a front four now on the defensive line with guys like Dom and guys like Jimmy Wilson and other players on that front?
I think we have a good D-line. It's just we're really young. I mean, that's one of our – I mean, like we talked yesterday, we don't want to use that as an excuse for us, but we're really young up front. I mean, there's me, Jimmy, and Dom that came back from last year that are returning D-linemen. So there's 3, and we lost a bunch of people from last year. Everybody else is either transfer or a freshman. So, I mean, it's almost like rebuilding, but I think they could just step up. Because, I mean, Derek Dorr and Joe Mastretta and Armani. Armani's a transfer, but all those guys are freshmen. They come in and play, and they're doing their job. So I think we got a good – I mean, in the future, I think we'll have a better D-line too.
On that defensive unit, it is a younger unit, as you said. What do you guys want to do to get after the quarterback more? You haven't really been able to get into the backfield and really record the sacks that maybe you guys did a year ago. What would you like to do to get into quarterback's face and be more disruptive in the backfield?
Coach Bradford's been putting in many stunts that we've been practicing, like, you know, getting more running, like more blitzes and stuff like that. And I think that's what we're going to try to do this week, and because this is a big test we have coming up.
Yeah, speaking of that test, homecoming, big test, you know, midterms right around that time. Maybe we'll call it a midterm, if you will.
Yeah.
With Clarion coming on in 5-0, their best start since 1983 as a team. But I mean, you were on the team a year ago where you guys are still searching for your first win, and you went to Clarion and earned that in emphatic fashion, putting up nearly 60 points offensively, and then defensively, you guys had a fumble return almost for a touchdown. There were different big key points defensively too. I mean, would you say this is the perfect storm, the perfect opportunity to get win number 1?
I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, homecoming, you can't ask for a better atmosphere. It's going to be packed at Sox Harrison, and I mean, they're playing with tremendous confidence. Clarion is. I mean, that's what they're riding on. You know, they started off 3-0. You know, we just need to get that confidence under us. I think once we get a win, I think things are going to change for us because everybody, you know what I mean, everybody's heads down, you're losing. But I think once we get a win, confidence will start rolling. I think we'll turn things around.
Going from the 3-down lineman in the 3-4 scheme to more of a 4-3, 4-2-5, how does that affect you personally and the defensive line personnel-wise, schematically, and the way you guys attack defensively now?
I think the 4-3 is better for, I mean, we ran it before in the past when I was a freshman and sophomore. We ran a 4-3, and then we switched last year. I like the 4-3 better. I ran it my whole life, high school and everything, and I think when you look at a lot of good teams, not only college and NFL, they run a 4-3. And I think it just, for myself personally, it frees me up more to be able to move around instead of just play nose guard and get double teamed each way. I mean, you still get double teamed, but you get more of an opportunity to make more plays, I feel like.
More plays to get it done. How do you feel it's gone so far? Obviously, I think it's been only the second week that you guys have really used that new scheme defensively. How do you feel about it? Obviously, still going to be some growing pains switching it up, especially mid-season.
Yeah, there's still growing pains. I mean, every week there's something new we're putting in, like to get back to what we had with the 3-man front, like all the plays that we had. But I think it's coming along because we've gradually put something in. But it's, I mean, you don't forget it, like week to week. It's just a refresher, and we have tip sheets every week. So Coach Bradford does that for us and lets us know what we're going to be running. Like today, we'll have a tip sheet at practice, and that's what we're going to focus on practice. And tomorrow, the same thing. And then Friday, we'll put it all together and just run through it all and get right before the game.
You guys defensively are one of the top 10 best defenses against the passing game in the PSAC, and that's might be alarming considering you guys had such a youthful secondary, really, with only Devon Groves coming back. I mean, you're a part of that defensive unit, so how do you, what do you feel about that good start defensively against the passing game, especially since Clarion's coming up, who likes to air it out a little bit?
I think that's confidence for them. I think it's confidence as a whole. I mean, for those guys to be, I think we have a lot of true freshmen back there or transferred freshmen in. And for those guys to play and be that good that's huge for them guys to come in and step up like that.
Although we're 5 weeks into this football season, kind of circling back and flashback to last year with the season opener, you had a couple of fumble recoveries at Carson Newman. Just looking back on your college experience, what can you say about that game, going down to Tennessee, playing against a team like that, nationally ranked in Division II, and kind of what you'll remember and take away from that in your college experience?
Right now, that's been my best game I've ever had. And I think it was a great experience because we went down there and they thought we were just going to be a game like how Penn State plays Youngstown State, just a warm-up game. And we went down there and we showed them what we were about, and they were worried at halftime. And then second half we came out and we couldn't put things together like we did the first half, and we ended up falling short. But I think that was a great experience. Like I said, it was my best game, and I just, I'll probably remember that forever.
Now, continuing on into this season, you said you just got to get that one win under your belt. Yeah. If you are able to manage to get that win this Saturday against Clarion, how does that change these last 5-6 games that you guys have upcoming with, getting into the meat of the Western Division with Gannon, Mercyhurst, and SRU back to back to back?
Those are tough games. They're always good games no matter how good each team is. And I think confidence, once we get into those games, it's like it's a brawl. We call it the backyard brawls.
Right.
Those are all backyard brawls, and we get a little confidence going into those, and they're hard-fought games, and you have to be mean about it. You have to go in there, have an attitude, chip on your shoulder like you're going to beat them, and if I think we're getting a win this week, and especially knocking off a 5-0 team, if we do, I think that'll give us a lot of confidence.
Yeah, so before the backyard brawls, you're going to have maybe your next-door neighbor backyard brawl, because you got to go a little bit farther to Clarion. But you don't have to, you know what I mean? Yeah. Never mind. Nonetheless, Boro football this Saturday, 2 p.m. against the Golden Eagles. For homecoming, Josh Kibbie will be there along with the rest of the Fighting Scots. Good luck on Saturday, Josh.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. And the Scots Sports Show will continue along right after this with the cross-country teams. Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. We continue on with the cross-country teams now here on the show as I'm joined once again to talk cross-country with the head Edinboro cross-country coach, Rick Hammer, to the far side. And to my immediate right here, we have freshman member of the women's cross-country team, Ida Narbeval. Ida, you're here once again because you are the female Scot of the week once again for your performance on Saturday, so congratulations. And that is for your 33rd place finish at the Greater Louisville Classic in the top race for the women. Going into that race, what was kind of your mindset, expectations, and what did you actually experience when you were in the race?
I knew that this would be even tougher than Michigan because there were more good Division I runners. So I knew that before I started, and I also got to experience that while running. I was kind of the start was a bit different than the starts I'm used to, because there's a lot of girls running fast in the beginning, and it was a bit different than what I'm used to, because there's kind of girls everywhere that's running running fast,
there.
big pack, yeah.
Right.
So it was a different experience, but I think it's also a very good experience to have, before regionals and before nationals.
Right, and Coach, so she worked through the pack and she emerged as one of the top runners. Obviously, she had a lot of good D1 talent, but she was one of the top runners from Division II as well. How do you feel she did on Saturday?
Well, we talked about how it was going to be a good test for us. It's probably the closest we will get to the national field for Division II at the Greater Louisville Classic. And it was just a great experience to go there and race. The Division I national meet is going to be held on that course coming up in about 7 weeks' time. The race that we were in was not the official pre-national meet, but it was sort of an unofficial pre-national meet with many nationally ranked D1 programs there, and top individuals racing. So her placing in the top 40 there, which Division II All-American is top 40, it's a good indicator that we're on the right path for success at the end of our season.
Certainly, overall for the women's team, how do you feel they did? I know there were different races on the day, and you had Edinboro was represented in most of those races. So overall, as the unit throughout the races, how do you feel the ladies did?
I was thrilled with the way our women showed up and performed there. Some of the things that we've maybe struggled with at nationals sometimes in the previous couple of years that I've been here is we've kind of gotten inside of our own heads, and we haven't had our top 5 people step to the line with the mindset that they belong. And so for the past couple of years, we've really tried to step out of our comfort zone and challenge ourselves by going to bigger Division I meets like Greater Louisville this year, Greater Louisville and the Wisconsin Adidas meet last year. When you're lining up against some of those girls in meets like that, and then you get to conference and regionals and even the Division II national meet, it doesn't scare you as much when you've lined up next to people that have ran in the Olympic trials of their respective countries and maybe even worn a uniform in the Olympic Games or World Championships. You're just a little bit more comfortable on our national stage.
Certainly. Ida, as a member of that women's team, how do you feel the unit is progressing? Coaches had a lot of praise for the ladies this year, especially with losing a couple of top runners. It seems like they haven't really missed a step. How do you feel the ladies have done?
Yeah, all of the girls on the team, we know that we're capable of running fast together in a big meets, and we prove that this weekend that we are a good women's team, and we can work together and make something good out of it.
Right, and got that experience, as Coach said, on the bigger stages, and have certainly performed thus far. Coach, for the men's team, last time you were on the show and talked, you said struggling with little minor injuries. So what's the status of the team right now? Elliot Martinkevich, getting the top finish in the men's race for your men's team, but how's the team looking overall health-wise, knowing that that's more important with the bigger meets coming up?
Well, I wish I had happier news to report on the Scott News Show here. Unfortunately, things are continuing to be a bit of a struggle for our men's program, as we just can't seem to put 7 of our healthiest and most talented, most prepared guys on the line at the same time. At Louisville, we did kind of break things up. We put Corey and Elliot, our top 2 runners, into the gold race. I thought Elliot really stepped up to challenge. He was the 12th or 13th Division II runner. I'd have to go back and check those stats to make sure that number was right. But he was only about 15 seconds from being the 4th or 5th Division II runner, which I think bodes really well for his individual bid for All-American honors. Corey's been struggling a little bit health-wise. He ended up not finishing that race as things weren't going real well, but I have full confidence we're going to get him back to full health by the time conference and regionals and nationals come around. The rest of the team, we ran our what I would say is our third and back, the group that are competing for those spots on the team in the blue race. We had some bright spots. We had the return to Division II competition for Logan Kempney. He's finally healthy enough to put on the Edinburgh uniform and race. John missed the Michigan State meet. He was back in the mix, and those 2 looked pretty good. As a whole, though, I think we just really struggled to go out there and be competitive. Running is it's an interesting endeavor. It's an interesting sport where you step to the line knowing that you're going to just go out there and make yourself hurt. And we do things in practice that teach us to accept that pain and to handle that pain better. The goal is we know it's going to hurt, and we're trying to run as fast as we can while accepting that pain. And some guys on the team need to do that better. Others on the team do an exceptional job of that. We've got to put 7 on the line in 3 weeks that are going to accept that it's going to hurt real bad if we're going to do what we hope to do at the meets that really matter.
Ida, you've worked through the pain thus far in your first season as a Fighting Scot. One more race before we get to those big 3. That's going to be the race at the park in Fairview this Saturday. What are you going to do in that meet and then in the upcoming weeks, kind of moving forward?
Yeah, I'm not going to run.
You're not?
No, I'm not going to run.
Then there's no pain.
Yeah, it's going to be some pain anyway. I'm going to do a workout on Friday, so it's going to be some pain for the ones of us who don't run that race.
Right,
anyway.
Gotcha. So then moving after that, what's going to be the preparations coming up for the PSAC championships then?
Well, as we're approaching November, obviously we have to cut down on the mileage and just try to run maybe a bit shorter but also faster. Try to increase the speed and just be ready to run really fast when it's supposed to go fast.
Gotcha, and that time is coming up, Coach. So as I mentioned with Ida, the race at the park coming up this Saturday, obviously she's not going to be competing. What other kind of mindset do other runners have? Who's in, who's out? What are you trying to get out of that meet on Saturday?
Well, you know, the race at the park is a good opportunity for us to compete a little bit locally. We kind of posed the idea of hosting a home cross country meet this weekend, seeing as how it was homecoming. That's a lot of events for our good but limited number of people, athletic department staff to handle. So we decided to travel up the road to Erie and run a small meet there. We're going to set our top 4 on the women's side and give kind of the battle for those 5th, 6th, and 7th spots another opportunity to race on the women's side and the men's side for that matter. We're just a young group. And, you know, the more experience we can get actually racing collegiate races is going to help us immensely as we head towards conference. So we plan to run the rest of the women's roster there and probably 3 or 4 of the guys just to get them some extra racing in. Because, you know, with the conference meet, we're allowed to race only 10 people. With 14 guys on the roster, race at the park is going to have to be a race that I use to kind of evaluate who gets another race and whose season ends this coming Saturday. So that's kind of what we're looking to get out of it. We wanted to stay nice and close to home and be able to get everybody back to be a part of homecoming if they so choose. So.
Right, yeah, don't have to make those long trips. One of the biggest mileage recorded is by the cross-country teams throughout the year, certainly. So I'm sure they appreciate staying close to home on this one. Good luck this Saturday. Ida, enjoy the workout on Friday, not the meet on Saturday, and I'm sure we'll be in touch before PSACs roll around. So appreciate the time, guys. And the Scott Sports Show will continue along after this as I will touch base with the women's volleyball team. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. Earlier this week, I caught up with 2 members of the Edinboro women's volleyball program, head coach Missy Sobolewski and sophomore Shallon Litweiler. Let's take a look at that interview. All right, Coach, so continuing the great start to the season, continuing that from pre-conference tournament play into the PSAC play, and continuing with much success in the Western Division, already getting in there. How happy are you that this tremendous start to the season is now carrying into the PSAC matches, which mean that much more?
Well, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking when you're getting ready to go into conference play, and I just really kept telling the girls, we can't have any regrets. We got to play as hard as we've been training, and really they've done a great job of just carrying that enthusiasm from the preseason matches right into conference play. So.
Certainly did, Shallon. You obviously were a part of last season's team, and then now with this season too. Do you notice any difference between last year to this year? Maybe just something you're doing. I know there's different schemes offensively. Is it that, or what is maybe the difference that's really gotten this team off to such a great start?
I think it helps that we're starting to run a faster offense, and we're getting more of a variety of hitters. I think last year there was only a few hitters that we could really rely on, but this year we've really spread that out and we can rely on a lot more people, which makes it easier.
Certainly, Coach, and it seems every time we talk or I see a quote from you, you're always listing like a grocery list of players that can contribute to this team. How nice is that as a coach to be able to have a handful of players you can rely on each and every night to produce offensively and defensively?
Oh, it feels good. The nice thing about it is I think we've had some players here for 2 to 3 years that have finally are developing into the type of hitters that can score when we're in system. Really Latoya, Shallon, Victoria's a great addition. Megan as a freshman is coming up with some big swings. Jackie filling in for Jen is doing a great job blocking and getting some swings as well. So it's really nice. I think it makes it a little bit easier on us, and obviously it makes it harder for the other teams to defend us.
Certainly. Shallon, with you just named PSAC West Women's Volleyball Player of the Week, so congratulations for that. And obviously you're doing all right offensively, of course, this year. Service aces, the like. How do you feel your start has been this year, being able to contribute so much to the team?
I feel confident out on the court. I think I kind of struggled last year as an incoming freshman of, making mistakes, and I just don't worry about that anymore. I just go out and I give it 100%, and, I just swing as hard as I can all the time and hope for the best, and Coach is fine with aggressive mistakes. She never would ever yell at us for aggressive mistakes, which is really encouraging.
Certainly, you talk about that progression from year 1 to year 2. overall, I mean, it's a little bit of a youthful lineup. I mean, you, Sydney, both of you had a lot of minutes last year and now this year. Do you feel that could be something this year that you're finally getting that experience from last year is now bringing to this year, and now you can finally figure out all those kinks because you've been in that scenario a year ago. You feel that's helping this year and the success?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think Sydney and I both started out a little nervous last year, but we would always talk about it and say how we're both incoming freshmen, and we're, even though, I don't know, we always said that even though we're freshmen, we shouldn't act like it, and she's one of my best friends, so it's really comforting to have one of your best friends out on the court with you.
Certainly, Coach. So, as I mentioned, getting through the PSAC, big wins last week against IUP, Clarion, just last night, SRU. How nice is it to get those wins, and especially the first time around to see those teams and get them in some pretty emphatic fashion as well. Some sets are close, but others, especially last night against SRU, you kind of have a nice cushion. Do you kind of take stock into how close those sets are, or is it really just, hey, as long as we have more points than them, it doesn't really matter?
A little bit of both. I do like when we're pushed. I like that when we have a little bit of adversity. Slipper Rock started off with a 4 or 5 point lead against us, and I like that our girls have to earn the points and have to really fight to get that lead back, and then as soon as they got the lead back, they never looked back. But I do like that we need to be pushed. And looking forward, Gannon and Mercyhurst this weekend, they're going to push us, and we have to be able to control the ball, play defense, control that first contact. If we control the first contact, we will be okay. It'll be a battle because if they control the first ball as well, they can side out as well as we can. The biggest thing for me right now, I want our girls to enjoy what they're doing, and as soon as we stop enjoying it, me as a coaching staff, our girls as players, as soon as we stop enjoying it, then we're in trouble. And that's the focus that I keep telling them, girls, we gotta have fun. We gotta smile on the court. You gotta enjoy what we're doing. And so far, I feel like we really are enjoying what we're doing. And I just hope that as things get more competitive, they continue to enjoy it and they feed off that competition, and it only makes us better.
Challen, for you looking ahead, what is kind of the player perspective moving forward? Coach just said Clarion, Mercyhurst part of the homecoming festivities this year, so you most likely, Gannon will bring the Gannon faithful, and Mercyhurst will probably have a big crowd because it's the wrapping up homecoming that night. What is, from the player perspective, is kind of your mindset moving forward now that you have a couple big matches coming up and you're kind of got the bullseye on your back now that you have a pretty impressive record right now?
I think from my perspective, it keeps us going to keep winning. I think our record, only having 2 losses, it really propels us to move forward and keep winning. And it's going to be harder the second time around. It's always harder to beat a team twice, but I think we are fully capable of doing it, and I think that's what drives us. I think our team knows that we're capable of going very far this season, so we can definitely push ourselves towards that.
All right, appreciate the time, ladies, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks. You.
I'd like to thank Coach Sobolewski and Challen for their time earlier this week. We're going to hit another break on the show, and it will roll along right after this. Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. We're in the midst of the fall sports season, but before you know it, spring sports will be coming around here at Edinboro. We're going to talk women's lacrosse now on the Scots Sports Show, as I'm joined by the brand new head women's lacrosse coach here at Edinboro University, Caitlin Formato. Caitlin, first, congratulations on getting the gig. Welcome to Edinboro, and kind of let's talk about how the job got onto your radar after the abrupt leaving of previous coach Kevin Cook, and how did you get on the radar of the hiring committee here at Edinboro?
Yeah, I originally was actually supposed to be the graduate assistant here, and then when I found out that Coach Cook was leaving, I didn't want to come into a school where I had no guidance and no one to mentor me. And so I took a job as the GA at St. Bonaventure University. I was there for about a month, and then I found out that they weren't able to find a head coach still. So I decided, why not? I'll put my resume in. My ultimate goal was to be a head coach since I was a freshman in college. And I figured, if I can reach my goal at a young age, I might as well go for it. So I put my resume in, and next thing I knew, I had the interview, and now I'm here.
Right, so what was that timeline like going from, what was that, maybe 6 months ago you would say you were ready to come into Edinboro as the GA?
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh, well, forget Edinboro. now I'm up at St. Bonnie's, and now a month later, you're back at Edinboro, but you're the head coach. I mean, what is that timeline like going from to GA to head coach of a program?
Yeah, it's been, back 6 months ago, I never thought I'd be able to do it. I think that 1 month at Bonaventure actually really helped me. It gave me, I got to see how things worked a bit, and it gave me the confidence. But it has been a very quick turnaround. I've been working a lot. I've been working a ton. I've been in the office a lot. But, like I said, it was my ultimate goal. It's my dream job. So I don't mind putting in all those hours to figure it out and, get the team where we need to be.
Right, you'll be bunkered down at in your office in Macomb,
yeah.
I'm sure, a lot. So now let's go back to the college. You mentioned since you were a freshman in college, coaching head coach was your dream position. And in college, you were obviously a tremendous women's lacrosse player at George Mason University. So you were a Division I talent, had plenty of starts there, plenty of goals. Why was it that when you started, you knew coaching was going to be your thing? Some people have to play a few years, especially at the collegiate level, to know that's where you want to coach. But from day one, is that coaching was going to be your thing?
Yeah, I think, I've always been a captain of pretty much every team I participated in since I was, on JV teams and varsity teams in high school. And, I've always liked to take that leadership role. And I've always enjoyed teaching my younger, teammates how to do things. And it's a lot for, in high school, a lot of times there is only one coach. So for them to pay attention to every single person and the small details, it's a lot for them. So I really enjoyed, spreading that information in high school. And when I got to college, I think, I'm not really sure what made it click, but I went in undeclared, didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I think after a year of freshman year at George Mason, really learning the game even more and seeing how much more to the game there was, it clicked for me.
Right, you mentioned captainship. You were a captain for a few years as a Patriot at George Mason. And then after that, you went a little overseas, to get your coaching, get your foot in the door for coaching, heading over to England. What was that experience like it's great to get a job right out of college, especially in the coaching ranks, but to kind of go to a different continent to get it done as well.
Yeah, it was amazing. I would never take it back. I got to stay there for 2 years. I stayed at the same school, and I was coaching lacrosse, but sports over there is very different. It was very eye-opening in many ways. So sport isn't viewed, I would say, as highly as it is in America. So it wasn't as serious. We practice. I was the head coach of basically 4 teams. As a varsity A, B, a JV team, and a modified team is what it was similar to in America. And my varsity A team practiced once a week. And my varsity team, when I was in high school, we practiced 6 days a week. So just to kind of show you the difference.
Right.
But it was very eye-opening. It helped me teach people. I also had to teach lacrosse and PE lessons to kids from China, from Russia, never heard of the sport, never seen it, hate the cold. And it was eye-opening to have to figure out how to teach kids that don't even like sports how to play a sport that's very new in general.
Right, yeah.
And then, outside of coaching lacrosse, I had plenty of time to travel. I worked at a private school, so we had a lot of time off, and I was able to make it to 22 different countries and traveling, which was another whole other story and very eye-opening, just seeing a bunch of different cultures.
Wow, so that was a good 2-year experience for you, and then obviously a good piece for your resume as well, which obviously helped you get the position here. So now you're here at Edinboro, only about 2 weeks or so on the job, getting the girls to work right away. What have you seen thus far from the team? Obviously, they went quite some time without, a coach or really any guidance at the top of the program, and now you're right in here. So what have you seen in the last 14 to 20 days?
Yeah, they're a great bunch of girls, really good to work with. They work hard and they want to improve, and that's the biggest thing I could ask for is a team that wants to improve and wants to do better and is constantly eager to learn new skills and new tactics. I've been throwing a lot at them. They've, it's obviously every coach has their own styles in different ways, so it's a complete change for them. But they've been feeding off of it well. Not having a coach the past month has definitely hurt our endurance a little bit, but that's something that we can easily get up. Thankfully, we still I get 24 days to practice with them, considered our fall ball season, and not having a coach the past month and me not being here didn't hinder that. We still get those 24 days. So we're just going a bit later than we would have if I was able to be here from the beginning. So that's good to see, and you know, we're getting there. We're getting our fitness back up, and thankfully our season's in spring to, you know, get everything in place.
Right, Alderson Brodus in March is still a little bit farther away yet. So, you know, coming into this program, Kevin Cook started this thing. He was, you know, you're only just the second coach in program history, and Coach Cook was known for starting programs. He's done it at different schools before. He did it here. Just haven't been able to get to the next level in the conference with Edinboro. How do you feel you can get that done to take Edinboro? They looked like they were close a year ago, had one of the greatest starts in program history, and then kind of faltered down the stretch. How do you feel you're going to get them to that next tier and ultimately make the playoffs, which just seems to be priority number one the last few years for the ladies?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now is the numbers. Last year they started off well, and then they had a bunch of injuries. So you looked at our sideline, and they only had 2 subs, while Mercyhurst may have had 10 or more. So we just need the depth. So my goal is to go hard after recruiting, get as many girls as I can. I would ideally like to try to get 12 freshmen in next year. Probably not realistic, but that's my goal. So aim high, and hopefully I won't fall too short of it. So I think we just definitely got to get those recruits in here so we have the depth, because when you're trying to play a 60-minute game and you don't have a sub and we have injuries, there comes a point where you just can't compete.
Right, and the cold weather kind of throws havoc in everything too, having to expect a lot from the ladies in a pretty short season overall too. So good luck, Coach. Again, congratulations on the job, and welcome to Edinboro. And before you know it, it'll be March, and at least you get to go down south to start the season out. So good luck with the off season, the next 24 days for fall ball, and you know, we'll be talking as soon as we're done shoveling out in March.
Thank you.
And the Scots Sports Show continues along after this commercial break. Congratulations to Eden Narboval and Mitch Thomas of the women's cross country team and the football team for being named this week's female and male Scots of the Week. Ida, who we talked to earlier right here on the show, finished 33rd in the women's gold race at the Greater Louisville Classic in Louisville, Kentucky this past Saturday. She was one of the top Division II runners in the race. Also, Thomas, who we referenced with our interview with head coach Scott Browning, took an interception 88 yards for a touchdown this past Saturday in the football team's game against Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Congratulations to both of them. Now let's take a look at what is upcoming for Edinboro's student athletes. Of course, it's homecoming weekend, so we have a lot of good action on Saturday, but it gets underway on Friday with the women's volleyball team hosting Gannon at 7 p.m. That will be one intense match. Gannon brings quite the fan base. On Saturday, we have a triple header of home action for homecoming. That includes tennis against John Carroll at noon, football at 2 o'clock, and then women's volleyball wrapping things up at 7 p.m. for against the Mercyhurst Lakers for homecoming. And on the road, cross country is at the race at the park, and then also the women's soccer team is at Bloomsburg at noon. So everyone's in action on Saturday. Good luck to Edinboro's student athletes. That's all the show we have for this week. Thanks for watching, and go Boro.